Hey guys, we have some interesting energy to talk about today. There's probably some big news or maybe like a big idea or a significant conversation that we're having today. And it could be sort of like a strange day as well. We have Mercury and Jupiter coming into an exact trine today in Earth signs. Mercury is the messenger planet. This is news, information, communications, our interactions, what we're talking about, what we're thinking about, being trined by Jupiter, the planet of expansion. This is likely to give us a bird's eye view into something, help us see the bigger picture of something, and again, could just represent some like big news, big information, or an ability to sort of strategize, put things together, and begin moving towards a plan that is kind of coming together in our mind in this energy. We also have Venus retrograde and an exact square to Uranus in the sky today. This is adding like an element of maybe like some generalized weirdness going on. Anything to do with Uranus is going to bring up some expect the unexpected energy. Venus, of course, retrograde. This is relating to people, relationships, situations, financial ongoings from the past. Could be coming up in a sudden way today. We want to watch like overspending, overindulging, and also saying too much, oversharing in this energy. Venus and Uranus and then Mercury and Jupiter, this can give us sort of a big mouth, and people could just be acting and saying and doing some weird stuff today. Also, don't be surprised if you find yourself in an environment or in a conversation or in like a social situation that is sort of out of the norm for you, or that is just a little bit unusual. So we have some interesting energy to talk about today. Let's get into our report of the day. Let's look at this energy in a little bit more detail and see how things are coming together for us as we move through this Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus, Venus energy. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. On this channel, what we are doing is looking at the energy as it's happening on a day-to-day basis, but we are doing so in the context of the greater understanding that we are currently in a transition of ages. We are shifting from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and a lot of the activations and the transits and the impacts that they are having on a frequency-based level on our energy bodies now are facilitating and assisting in this overall process of transition of ages that we are in. So while we are looking at the energy in terms of the aspects as they are ongoing on a day-to-day basis, we are keeping in mind the greater overall point that we are in sort of like our cosmic universal evolution, and how these activations are contributing to that greater energetic unfoldment. Okay, so all of that being said, let's get into it. Also, if you guys want to stick around till the end of this report, I have done a tarot reading for us as well. I like to do a collective tarot reading alongside of the daily reports when I'm doing them, because I like to tap the energy field from more than one modality, see what is playing out for us sort of, from the astrology, from the astrological perspective energetically, but also on a more symbolic level from the tarot, just so we can get a more well-rounded overview, holistic overview of what is playing out for us on an energetic level. So we're going to do that as well if you want to stick around till the end of the reading, till the end of the video today. But let's start with the astrology. We have big energy coming in today. If you guys caught my last video, I was sort of talking about this. I also talked about this energy in my August monthly overview, talking about how this second week of the month of August was probably likely to be bringing some big news, big information, maybe some things that catch us a bit off guard. We've got this Venus retrograde Uranus energy that is, going on right now as well. Perhaps switching up, changing, redefining some preferences, some relationships from the past, who and what we want to continue to relate with going forward, values, tastes and things. Abrupt changes could be going on along these lines. What we want to put our money into, just what we value, what we prefer, what we desire, what we find to be comfortable, could definitely be being recalibrated to some extent in this energy. But overall, generally, these transits that we have playing out today and Thursday also could really be characterized by this energy. We may have felt it, or some things along these lines may have been going on Monday into Tuesday as well. But today is the day where we have Mercury and Jupiter Jupiter in an exact trine and Earth signs together. Of course, any Mercury aspect is going to be relatively short-lived unless Mercury's like stationed in the sky. Mercury is the fastest moving planet. So this Jupiter-Mercury energy is not going to be like sticking around. It's really pretty much going to be like coloring the course of today and then some into tomorrow, but then it will separate. The same goes for the Venus retrograde energy and square to Uranus. This is actually the second pass of this activation that we've had in the past several weeks. Venus first came into the square with Uranus before she retrograded from Leo to Taurus, and this happened July 1st and 2nd. So, there could have been some things that came up in the very, first few days of July that are somehow maybe unexpectedly coming back around. Venus retrograde also has a lot to do with closure and unfinished business, and Uranus is the great fixer and the great rectifier. So there could be some closure going on, or there could just be themes coming up today that somehow have something to do with things that started happening around, like I said, the first few days of the month of July. And it's interesting because we have this like Uranus influence. Uranus is expect the unexpected. Uranus is sort of things hitting us out of nowhere, these like shocks or surprises, sudden awakening. But we've also got the Mercury Jupiter influence, which is the bird's eye view, the overall perspective, the elevated understanding, the greater level of insight into something that is really consuming the majority of our mental energy or impacting us in a very expansive way on a mental level. So we could really find ourselves caught in our heads today, really considering some things that hold maybe quite an expansive level of significance for us. This could have to do with relationships, commitments, financial situations from the past that maybe we're gaining a higher level of understanding or insight into now that is causing maybe a shift in changes or preferences hitting us kind of unexpectedly. Also, don't be surprised if you find yourself somewhere that you're not usually with, someone who you're not usually with, having some type of like big conversation that has some type of like meaningful impact somehow. Like that's totally the vibe midweek, this second week of the month of August. So if you find yourself sort of in an unusual, unexpected, maybe spontaneous situation, talking to somebody, there could be, the nature of that conversation is likely to be like quite elevated. Also like solutions, plans, strategies. We're talking about Mercury and Jupiter forming a trine together in Earth signs. We also have a very strong Mercury influence right now. Those of you who are Mercury dominated people with a lot of Gemini and Virgo energy, probably a really good day for you guys as well. Receiving a trine from Jupiter, which facilitates things. This is a very lovely aspect from the great benefic. Jupiter also brings luck and good fortune. So Mercury also rules like deals and negotiations. I will tell you, this is a very blessed and supportive energy for making deals or, coming to some type of terms or coming to negotiations about something. There could be very like strongly supported or facilitated things sort of falling into place along those lines today. But with Venus also ruling like partnerships, especially like financial agreements or financial arrangements or real estate investments or like any of those type of deals, negotiations, like material financial investments and stuff like that. Yes, they're supported with the Mercury Jupiter influence. However, there could be some type of like random change that happens really unexpectedly or spontaneously to these like connections or commitments or deals or negotiations that happen in this energy. Something that needs to be like redone or like rearranged in the future somehow before it can actually like begin to move forward. So something to keep in mind as well when we have this very supportive energy for like also like taking a risk or like signing a contract or something like that, but there's likely to be like abrupt and unexpected changes that need to go on before it can fully come to fruition somehow. So that's another element of how the energy could be playing out today. But I mean, it really is like Mercury is the big player today with the trine from Jupiter. And we have a Gemini moon going on as well. There could be a very transformative nature to whatever we're talking about or thinking about or what's consuming our mind or our mental energy as we move through this energy. The moon is in the sign of Taurus as we start the day. transit and forms a trine to Pluto retrograde in the end of Cancer before entering the sign of Gemini, which of course is ruled by Mercury, who happens to be in an exact trine with Jupiter today. So there could, Pluto, this is massive transformation. This is a death and rebirth energy. There could be definitely like a transformative nature to whatever it is maybe that we are learning or that we are finding out. This is also Mercury in the sign of Virgo. This is research. This is context. This could have to do with like health or healing, solutions, remedies, again, like solving problems, fixing things, being more strategic, getting organized, making plans, big plans. I feel like are all over the blueprint of this energy today as well, especially having to do with like what we're building, what we're working on, what we're bringing into fruition. Don't forget there's also a massively creative influence going on right now that is trying to support us in beginning something new, starting something new, redoing something, recreating something with Venus retrograde. But there's a definite sort of like universal push right now for rebirth and new beginnings, especially in the way that we're using our energy and that we are identifying with ourselves over this next actual year and a half. But it's really coming to fruition right now. We are definitely going through a process of gaining a greater sense of self-confidence as well as we detach ourselves from people and situations and relationships from the past that may have like blocked us from seeing our personal truth or standing in our personal truth in some way or another. As we have this transit of the North Node moving through the sign of Aries, universe is calling us into our own personal leadership era, and our main lessons are going to have a lot to do with detachment from the security and comfort of like the group consciousness, okay, sort of like the group minds moving forward. And we've been talking about this, and we're going to talk about this a lot more as we go through the energy that's coming up over the rest of this year and into 2024. But as of today, some type of big or expansive quality or understanding or significance or just a lot of mental energy as well. We could really be like focused on learning something or grasping something, understanding something. This is also supportive of like things to do, like things that we're working on specifically like with the hands as well, because Mercury has to do with things that we do with our hands, financial and material based themes. Also, like I said, relationships from the past, people from the past, big plans related to the past somehow, or there could be unexpected or surprising stuff happening pertaining to the past that maybe like sheds new light on what's happening now, gives things a different context somehow. I feel like there's reversals. We're in retrograde season now, and as we get to the end of August, we're gonna have almost all of the planets retrograde, save for like Jupiter and Mars and the Sun and the Moon, I believe. We're heading towards a season of reversals. Things that were done are going to receive sort of a second look, and a lot of previous outcomes, I think, are going to be reversed about things. We're really going to be like reevaluating and backtracking and, redefining and questioning and reevaluating and all of that retrograde type stuff. As we get towards the end of August, moving into September, and, again, while we are in supportive energy for making partnerships and making deals and negotiations and, taking risks and doing like coming together with people, transactions and business deals and stuff like that, there are going to most likely be revisions to whatever plans that we're making now in order to put the right people in place to get essentially the most valuable outcome, with Venus being the planet that is retrograde right now. It's like something about the nature of like the partnerships that are in place right now there's something that needs to be changed about it, or there needs to be a shift, or there needs to be like new people brought in or something that will find their way to whatever situation is playing out throughout the course of the next several weeks, after Venus, or, this next period of time while Venus is retrograding. She'll station direct and she'll come back and she'll hit that third square to Uranus. But we've also got a Mercury retrograde coming up, like I said, as well. Mercury is the planet that's involved in this energy. So Mercury, and we've got a moon in Gemini right now. We've got Mercury in Virgo. So huge, huge, just mental energy influence. Also with the Uranian energy as it's playing out, this could add a level of like anxiety, like nervous tension. There could be just like an anxious energy kind of in the air. Whenever we got a lot of Mercury energy, this can be sort of a more high strung energy. Uranus is also sort of like a frazzled energy. And if you guys did watch my overview for the month of August, I was saying we want to sort of try our best to stay grounded and like stay, reel ourselves in to some extent the first couple of weeks of the month of August, because by the time that we get, there's just a lot of this Jupiter energy going on, and there's a lot of this Uranus energy going on, and it can have a tendency to just like burn us out or make us feel just like fried sort of on an energetic level. And as we move into the fourth week of August, we're going to have a Mars Neptune opposition, which can sort of lower energy and vitality levels and stuff like that. So we don't really want to allow ourselves to just sort of spin or spiral out of control on whatever highs this energy might be bringing through. Again, like we don't want to, Uranus can be a very impulsive energy. It can be very freedom seeking energy, just sort of like throwing caution to the wind and following the impulse like of our heart in this case, sort of with the Venus energy, like breaking plans, breaking commitments. That could be another element of this. Like there's this big, like having like big, maybe like you were supposed to meet somebody at a certain place, but they end up not showing up, and you end up meeting this other random person and just having this like huge conversation, or like it ends up being like this like important connection or something like that. Like that's the type of energy that I'm talking about. Being in places you wouldn't normally be with, maybe someone you weren't expecting or people you wouldn't normally be with, but there being an element to whatever is being discussed or communicated, learned or spoken about that has some type of, just like expansive like tone to it maybe. And that's another thing, like we also do want to be careful with the oversharing component of things. People can have a tendency to have a very big mouth when there's a Mercury. I know people that have a Mercury Jupiter trine naturally, just like in their natal chart, and it's the gift of gab for sure. We can just have sort of like a big mouth, and things just can kind of come out. So we do, it is happening in earth signs, so this does add maybe like an element of, structure. It's not like it's just all flowing out in water signs or in the fire signs, super just like coming out with like all this passion and stuff. There is a level of structure and groundedness perhaps to the conversations, but that's why I'm also feeling like it has to do with plans, organization, like schedules, like goals, what we're working towards. Virgo, this is a sign of the harvest. This is a very like result-oriented sign. So, what we can do to make things better, also improvements, solutions, but big ideas. This could also be very like media oriented. We could be talking about like headlines, like big headlines, important like news stories and narratives and stuff like that are just like making a big impact somehow, very significant. And again, this could also have to do with things or situations from the past, reversals from the past. Uranus is the great rectifier. So regardless of what is playing out, like on some level, things are being put right. And again, this is sort of like step 2 of the equation. We had our first Venus Uranus the first few days of July, and now we're having the second one now, and then we will have a third one. I'm not exactly sure what the date of that is. I will figure that out, but not right at this moment. But anyways, so we've got like, we're at step 2 of this process of, how can I relate to myself better? Because this is the internalized Venus energy. And through the process of learning how to relate to myself better, what changes do I need to make to the people that I relate to, or to the people that I value, or to what I value, or to my material world, or to, what I'm spending my money on, or what I'm financially invested in. Gaining a clearer and more pure relationship to our own heart, to our own true desires. And as a result of that, needing to make changes and adjustments, maybe suddenly, maybe unexpectedly, but in, some significant ways to what we've been connected to. And of course, this is the theme. South Node now for the next year and a half transiting the sign of Libra. Libra, of course, ruled by Venus, and Uranus is also in the sign of Taurus, ruled by Venus as well. There needs to be some type of like radical awakening to the truth of our own like honest heart-based nature. Anywhere that we have been pulled off course or out of alignment with that as a result of needing to conform to any type of group mentality or group cohesion, this is where we're sort of awakening to that and cutting ourselves free from anything that would, you know, stifle or hold us back from experiencing and stepping into our own individuality, as a result of like a need to maintain some type of group cohesion in some type of way. North Node transiting the sign of Aries. This is calling us into our leadership era. When the North Node is transiting the sign of Aries, this is a year and a half period of time where there's a job that needs to be done. There's a journey that needs to be undertaken. Like we're on a mission, and it has everything to do with activating our destiny, being the hero in our own story. Okay. And the South Node in the sign of Libra, the South Node, this is the past. This is what we need to, you know, this is what we're graduating from. This is what we are leaving behind us and detaching from, because if we don't, we can't learn the new lessons that our soul is being called to evolve into now. South Node in the sign of Libra, the detachment comes from the group think and the group cohesion that may have provided a layer of comfort and stability and safety and peace and balance and harmony in the past. However, it has been blocking our own relationship, okay, to our own individuality. We need to gain a better relationship to ourselves that is not like controlled essentially by a need for group conformity, when we've got this polarity and dynamic of nodal situations going on, nodal transits playing out. So these aspects that are happening now, you know, I talk about how on this channel I'm looking at what's happening on a day-to-day basis, but in the context of this overall unfolding journey and saga that we're on energetically right now into the age of Aquarius, as we're going through the shift of ages and self-actualization and self-mastery and, you know, activating destiny. These are crucial parts of helping us to like come into alignment and be the anchors of this new frequency, root this new frequency in this, you know, in this dimension on our planet in the context of our shift of ages right now. And one of the major lessons at this point in time in that process of helping us come into a greater alignment with, you know, our true purpose, our true destiny, this sense of self-mastery that moves us in that direction, the hero's journey as well, with Chiron also in the sign of Aries right now. And, you know, remember, we're going to have a Chiron Aries or a Chiron North Node conjunction coming up here as well. It's the lesson that we are on right now is to come back home to ourselves, regardless of the upsetting the balance or upsetting the peace in the group cohesion, in the group situations of the past, because we've got to fulfill this. It's a year and a half where we have individualized missions that we need to fulfill, and that's just how this is, and it's playing its role in helping us come to a level that is more in alignment with these new frequencies that are coming in. And I feel like, you know, what we've got going on with this Venus retrograde and the Uranus energy and, you know, Uranus in the sign of Taurus ruled by Venus, and also Jupiter right now in the sign of Taurus as well, ruled by Venus. This is also, you know, expanding whatever is going on with Uranus in the sign of Taurus in the square to Venus. So anyway, you know, we could look at it from a bunch of different directions. The patterns are repeating and coming through sort of over and over. We've got a thunderstorm that is coming on right now as well. It's interesting. It's been super sunny and nice all morning, and now all of a sudden we've got like rain and thunder going on. So things could change quickly, okay, in the energy as we have it playing out today, and a relationship changes, value changes, preference changes, but in a way that it actually supports us in being more true to ourselves, and therefore being happier, being more successful, being more fulfilled generally moving forward. So that's really what I have to say about the energy today, you guys. Weird, random, spontaneous social interactions, very possible, or, you know, major past money, love situations suddenly coming back around and maybe just like blowing our mind. People, places, and situations that we are not normally in, maybe just doing things out of the ordinary, having some like different types of plans going on today as well. And also an element of risk and reward being indicated symbolically. Taking risks is also supported right now by the Jupiter presence that has been so prominent over this past first week of August, now moving us into the second week as well. But in terms of Sabian symbol placements coming through today, we have Venus at 23 degrees of Leo in her square to Uranus. That Sabian symbol is in the circus. A bareback rider displays her dangerous skills. And we have Uranus at 23 degrees of Taurus, a jewelry shop filled with valuable gems. So, you know, taking risks could perhaps pay off, this risk versus reward type of situation. Also trusting ourselves, trusting our skills, trusting that we are prepared and that we are ready and that we do know how to do what needs to be done in order to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. And again, the jewelry shop filled with valuable gems, the rediscovering or awakening to, with Uranus there as well, the value of who we really are, what we really hold inside, you know, our resources, our potentials. This 7-year period of Uranus transiting the sign of Taurus is all about awakening us to the truth of our own resources that we hold internally and the potential that can be grown, built, produced, cultivated, nourished, brought into 3D manifestation, abundant fruition with them. So with Uranus activated right now, like, that is what we're doing. We're being reawoken perhaps on some levels to something about, you know, the internal nature of our heart and what changes we need to make going forward as a result of that acknowledgement. Again, this could just be a very big news day as well, narratives and all that, but be careful just saying too much, okay? And that is what I'm going to leave it with. That's basically what I have to say today. I find it really funny that we've also got a Gemini moon going on. So it's just a very, very communication-oriented day. Lots of ideas, lots of conversations. Your phone is probably blowing up, emails, all of that. Packing a big, more significant punch today. So that's what I'm going to say in terms of how we have our astrology coming together. Now let's talk about the tarot for a minute. Got kind of a, you know, it's interesting how the tarot message comes out today in the context of the astrology as well. There could be something that is like stressing us out or keeping us up. Again, the sense of like nervous tension or anxiety in the air. We may have some issues sleeping, okay? It may be hard to sort of relax the mind. We may find our mind sort of like spinning and pondering and just like ruminating, going over and over about stuff. And like I said, you know, we may have some difficulty sleeping today, tomorrow, over this next couple days. But the issue is, you know, according to the way that these tarot cards are coming out, it looks like whatever is stressing us out or, you know, just creating the sense of anxiety or like keeping us up at night has to do with like where we're being blocked internally and what connections or relationships we're coming to find that we need to let go of in order to actually like open up our heart and open up our ability to create, to manifest, to produce, and to, you know, like work better and more efficiently towards actually like what it is that we're realizing that we want right now. Now, the reason that I'm saying this, it's interesting. It's like we need to sort of switch out perhaps maybe like some of the relationships that were like easy for us in the past, or that were more like enabling type of relationships, or that were more just like about like the simple pleasures, and that were just more kind of like there for us on like an emotional level, for relationships that are like more productive and that are more like that help us to complete things better, that help us to make things happen for ourselves more, and that are meeting us more on a level of like what we want to create, what we want to build, and where we want to like take our life going forward, instead of the relationships that maybe we felt like more aligned with sort of on an emotional level, but we're not producing reducing or that were keeping us from being able to move towards our goals, okay? I guess that's what I'm saying. And the reason why I'm saying that, like, let's specifically look at the cards for a minute. The first card that we have coming out, and this was our only upright card today besides the cards on the back of the deck, is the Nine of Swords. And this is a card, you know, traditionally it's about not being able to sleep at night, having something on your mind, you know, worries, anxieties, fears, ruminating, keeping us up, making it hard to relax, right? But then the next cards that I feel like are describing the Nine of Swords energy and where or why we're feeling like this, we've got the Five of Cups in reverse, followed by the Queen of Cups in reverse, followed by the Three of Cups in reverse, and then also we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Then on the back of the deck we have the Three of Pentacles. So when I'm looking at this energy in the context of this Nine of Swords energy, which is like what is stressing us out, what is keeping us up, what is giving us anxiety, it's like I feel disconnected from my emotions. Like I feel disconnected from my ability to move forward. I feel disconnected from my ability to be in, for one, a state of personal, emotional self-empowerment and trust my intuition and trust my judgment and stuff. And for two, to feel like self-empowered to practically, tangibly like make what I want to happen. Like this is describing a situation where we sort of like feel powerless because we're in a situation where we may be connected or in relationships that are not truly feeding our soul the way that they should be, and therefore are like sabotaging our progress or our ability to create tangibly in the world. And with the Nine of Swords coming out first, like that could be, you know, what is causing this stress, maybe coming to discover in this Venus retrograde Uranus energy, or gaining a sense of like nervousness or anxiety or awareness of that is like upsetting us on some level. In terms of realizing, you know, maybe the relationships that I'm in right now are more shallow relationships with the Three of Cups in reverse. Like maybe there's no deep connection. Maybe they're more just like frivolous, or maybe they're more based on like a party lifestyle, or more based on like superficial places that we're connected or things that we have in common. And by maintaining these relationships, I'm actually detaching myself from my own power, my own ability to create, to nurture, to sustain, and to move towards my goals. What I really need is this Three of Pentacles upright energy in terms of the interactions and the relationships and the partnerships, not this Three of Cups in reverse energy. It's like we may be coming to realize that we need to swap out the Three of Cups in reverse type of social energy, relationship based energy, with the Three of Pentacles energy. Replace the shallow, more just like you know, like having a good time, and Three of Cups, like maybe like celebrating. Again, this could be just more like shallow, like in the moment based relationships that are not ultimately contributing like to our ultimate well-being or to our ultimate like internal sense of, you know, emotional maturity and like true fulfillment and stuff like that. What we need is these Three of Pentacles relationships that are people like minds coming together to help us build, to help us create, to help us work towards our goals, to help us work towards the mission or the vision or the journey that is making itself known to us in this energy right now as well. So I feel like that is really kind of the message of the tarot cards today. And when we apply it to the astrology as well, it's like we may be gaining some greater insight in terms of the type of relationships that we need to distance ourselves from right now, because we're realizing the impact that they're having on our ability to feel powerful and to feel like a, you know, creative force to be reckoned with, and our ability to move towards creating the life situations that we want for ourselves. We need to realign ourselves with relationships and people that are in a greater alignment with who we're becoming now, not maybe who we've been in the past. And again, this could be these past relationships, who we've always connected to, who our friends have always been, because, you know, we come from the same place, or we have like these like original, like just like these old friends and stuff like that. But maybe staying in these relationships at this point in time is no longer working in our best interest, and perhaps that could be producing some fear, worry, anxiety that is creating some nervous tension, making it a little bit hard to sleep, something along those lines. So that is something else that could perhaps be coming up in the energy today as indicated by the tarot cards. Let's grab one more card now, you guys. God, Spirit, Universe, what would be some advice or some guidance that can benefit us as we are going through, you know, some of these, like, emotional, like, just like these old friends and stuff like that. But maybe staying in these relationships at this point in time is no longer working in our best interest, and perhaps that could be producing some fear, worry, anxiety that is creating some nervous tension, something along those lines. So that is something else that could perhaps be coming up in the energy today as indicated by the tarot cards. Let's grab one more card now, you guys. God, Spirit, Universe, what would be some advice or some guidance that can benefit us as we are going through, this midweek energy, this big Mercury Jupiter energy, and of course this Uranus energy that is coming back around. The Uranus energy is also going to be carrying us, like, we have this Venus Uranus activation happening by square this week, but next week we're getting really into some big Uranus energy because the sun is going to build into square with Uranus in the sign of Leo. Our new moon that's going to be coming up next week is also going to be in an exact square to Uranus. So this expect the unexpected, freedom seeking, release the chains, awakening to something. Uranus energy vibe is definitely going to be gaining speed, gaining momentum, gaining prominence and dominance over, you know, now throughout the course of next week as well, again. So we want to try to stay grounded and not allow ourselves to get like too whipped up in all of this like high frequency, high octave energy, okay? And the message for today, our guidance and advice says, don't envy another. So again, you know, we have this relationship-based, other people-based, other people-oriented guidance coming through while we have all of this energy going on about, you know, should I stay or should I go, basically, okay? Let your conduct be without covetousness, Hebrews 13:5. Remember, you cannot have that which belongs to another. Instead, wish for something very much like what the other has, but never the very thing. For the time being, be content with what you have. Perhaps things are not as they appear. So regardless, you know, of what's playing out today, how things are looking, Uranus is also silver lining energy. A lot of times when we have silver or when we have Uranus energy operating, things appear very dire, very chaotic, like the worst thing that could ever happen at first. And it's not until like we move through the process of whatever the Uranus energy brings that we realize like, oh wait, that was actually like the best thing that ever could have happened. That was the hugest blessing in disguise. And things have a tendency of really not being a lot of times as they appear to be when we have Uranus operating. So remember, detachment is really like a very important lesson that we're dealing with now and that we're going to be dealing with. And it's not our job to try to be like anybody else in this energy. It is our job to figure out what is special, what is unique, what is original, what is authentic to us, and align and attach to that perhaps more so than we ever have, so that we can really develop that and figure out what over the next year and a half our role is to serve in this leadership era, hero's journey activated energy. So that's what I have to say today, guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think they would like this type of content as well. Leave me comments. I love you guys so much. I appreciate your comments. I love your feedback. If you are having experiences that match up with what I'm talking about in these videos, let me know in my comment section below. Also, I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, and an Instagram. I post these whiteboards in my Facebook group if you're interested in what those say. Those are linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Friday, you guys. We are going to have our weekend video. We're going to look at what we have going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, moving us through the weekend this weekend, just to sort of get a brief glimpse. What have we got going on? Let's see. We are going to have a Sun Chiron trine this weekend, talking about the hero's journey, some themes that are going to be coming through this weekend with the Chiron influence being activated. And we are also coming back around to the Grand Cross and Cardinal signs that we talked so much about with our new moon in Cancer energy, as the moon enters the sign of Cancer and we prepare to move towards actually our new moon in the sign of Leo. So we've got another sort of heavy hitting astrology weekend coming up. I'll be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a very beautiful Wednesday into Thursday, and until next time, bye guys.